Hey legends, welcome to the third part of this series, Ultimate Ownership. And in this small video, we're going to cover three things: the self-honesty, the cause and effect equation, as well as your responsibility that you have. And so we're going to first start off with self-honesty. What is self-honesty? Is the ability to be realistic of where the hell you are at, to be able to call a spade, to call yourself fat, to call yourself out that you're not sleeping enough, that you're eating terrible. It's the ability to create a sense of honesty and truth within yourself. Quite often the world tells us to be delusional of the things that are happening around us, to say that, hey, you're not fat, that maybe you're not smart, that maybe that you are capable of a lot more. But this is kind of a double-edged sword, because in order to be able to do crazy big things, you've first got to be aware of how honest you are with where you're at. If you're like 10, 15 kilos overweight and you want to go and do some massive athletic feat, you've got to be really honest with yourself and say, is this actually going to help me to move forward? To be brutally honest. And it's one of those hard things to face honesty, to face the truth, because no one likes it. No one likes to see the truth that they have every single day. And this is why it's one of the hardest principles to kind of live by and understand this. By understanding like your truth, honesty of this point in time, and it's only at this moment, right in the now, it allows you to accept the situation for where it's at. And so when my finger got cut off, I had to come to the point of really honest with myself, as opposed to believing that I might get my finger back, that I might get movement back, that, this isn't a bad thing. I had to really double down and accept and own that my finger had been cut off and decide to move forward from that equation. This is a really extreme example, but like a really simple example is to admit that you're overweight, to admit that you're tired. After you understand and own what's actually happening and the truth of your reality right now, it allows you to move forward and push forward after this. And this is then followed on by the idea of like cause and effect. And so after you become super brutally honest with where you're at, you actually get to decide whether or not this is going to affect you, or you're going to be able to create change on this. And so living in effect is the ability to have like excuses pop up for everything. And I'm not immune to excuses. No one is. But the level of our excuses is the level that we choose to stay at. And so quite easily, after we've been honest with ourselves, we either have to decide whether this is the reason why we're going to change, or this is the reason why we're not. When you're living at the effect of something, that means that that thing has control over you. So the fact that you're fat means that your fatness, like your ability to be overweight, is having an effect on who you are. By someone else telling you that you're terrible, that you're not a good person, we're living at the effect of what they're saying. However, cause is like the ultimate ownership and the ability to take what they say and actually make change on a result. And so this is like the perfect example. You may or may not have heard the horn in the background. Is that could be the reason why I stopped this video and move forward, or it's the reason why I'm going to continue and use it for how it is. When we live at cause, we are able to create change in the world. We are actually able to move forward. It means that we are not, connected to our circumstances. It is the ability to not say that, oh, I don't live near by the beach, that means I can't swim. It means that, hey, I can either drive to the beach, I can move near the beach, I can move and do something to create the change that we have. The more living at cause you have is usually lead to the level of success. And so these two combined together really change the way that we think and act in the world. And so lastly, this then becomes probably one of the most controversial topics at the moment. That's the sense of responsibility. Who is responsible for what? And so one of the biggest things that you can do and to take on is to create responsibility for yourself and then other people. Quite often people at the moment don't even take responsibility for themselves and their own actions. They don't own up to the thing that they've been bad at, that they've been terrible at. They don't take responsibility for their own lives and show themselves the respect that they need to be able to find a place in this world. The sense of responsibility, especially in masculinity, is really important, because you've got to take ownership and you've got to be a protector of your own life. Is the ability to lead yourself forward, that you are responsible for yourself. Quite easily, it's the idea that kids aren't responsible for themselves, and that a parent then becomes the responsible adult. You might have heard that term before. And so it is the ability to then go from being a kid to then take responsibility for yourself. And people still want to have other people who are responsible for them. Oh, I'm not going out, or I'm drinking because X, Y, and Z somebody told me to. Oh, I'm not going to the gym because X, Y, and Z told me to. You've actually got to start to take fucking responsibility for where you are at and what you want to do to move forward, because if you're not responsible for yourself, how can you be responsible for anyone else? This is one of the biggest things that happen, and what changes in most people is that when you actually have a kid, whether it's on purpose or not, you actually are forced to take on the responsibility. And it's quite easily that like females do this way easier than guys, because they just can't like not service or help out the kid that they're having. Whereas guys right now are changing their responsibility, that, hey, it's not my responsibility in that situation, but it takes two people to make a baby. And so it's the idea now that you've actually got to take responsibility for your own fucking life and decide, yeah, I'm fat. Yeah, I eat shit. Yeah, I don't exercise. Therefore, it is my responsibility first and foremost to change that before even being responsible for anyone else. But often in society, we just wait for someone else to create the responsibility and put it on us to make a decision and move forward. These are the three aspects that create the ultimate ownership of what's happening. And so there might be a couple of people that decide that this is them, this isn't them, this is bullshit. But if you can't move past this stage and the ability to accept and own everything about where you're at, it's going to be really hard for you to complete anything else past this point, which is why it's so important. So remember, guys, always go far.